Hello and welcome to episode 2 of my folktale tutorial Let's Play series. This episode will be on continuing the starter tutorial. In the last episode we built ourselves a couple of cottages, so now we can have up to a maximum of 10 villagers. So carrying on with the tutorial text. "I'm impressed, Bob," said the imaginary voice speaking inside his head. "Clearly you're meant for great things." Bob smiled, but only a little. "Now, Bob, if you want to attract new folks, you need to make this a happy place," continued the voice. Bob knew just where to look and opened the Civics menu by left-clicking on the weighing scales icon on the top bar. Okay, so it's talking about this up here. Actually, yeah. Open the Civics. Oh, wait a minute, the Civics is here. What am I doing? Okay, there we go. Sorry, had a moment of stupidity. Wow, so many widgets and tabs. It was almost overwhelming. Bob regained composure and soon figured out that villagers had needs, and failing to meet those needs would have dire consequences. So as you can see here, they've got food needs, they've got firewood needs, which is wood for keeping them warm in the winter, clothing, which we'll get to, and mead, alcohol. And okay, let's just see what it says. Bob had acquired the power to ration subjects, controlling their greed during times of trouble. Wow, if we only had that for the 1% rich in this world. "I could also be generous," thought Bob. "Surely that would make the needy sods happier." "Indeed, it would, Bob, but the stores would empty pretty fast, so let's not go there," replied the imaginary voice of reason. To help Bob out, things would flash from time to time, yellow warning that Bob was heading for trouble, while red meant there was a problem requiring immediate attention. "I'm not bothered about this," thought Bob. In time, Bob would learn this to be a moment of exceedingly poor judgment, as the villagers rebelled and burned all his hard work to the ground. "Taxes," proclaimed Bob, as he grinned with glee at the thought of coffers brimming with gold. "I could fund research, construction and crafting if only I had more gold. Let's tax the buggers," howled Bob, without a moment's thought to how it might impact happiness. Oh, I just love that. That is classic humour. Anyway, Bob was eager to learn when the next gold-laden villager would arrive and clicked frantically to the second tab. Okay, so click the management tab, which is this one. Excuse me. Bob had discovered the population progress bar. Green must mean villagers were closer to arriving, red growing unhappiness and the chance of rebellion and village departures. So basically, as you're building your village up, okay, this is something you'll come and frequently check, and what you want to see is, because I'm at the maximum amount of current villagers, that's why it's static like that. But if I built another cottage, or if people started to leave, if I didn't have 10, this would either be a green slow progression bar going up, and when it gets to the end I get a new villager, or it would be starting off red at this end and slowly red would be filling the bar, meaning that when it gets to here someone's going to leave my village. So not good. Sorry, excuse me. Perhaps Bob was meant to tweak rationing and taxation until the green bar was growing. Of course, that would only happen if there were enough cottages and housing capacity. Otherwise, the bar would remain a rather dull and lifeless grey, which is what I've just explained to you. Not wishing to miss out on any knowledge, Bob clicked the final tab. Okay, so this one. "Ah, this looked like an overview of my village," thought Bob. "A list of buildings, current research and yet another means of training professionals." There were even icon buttons that allowed Bob to inspect individual buildings before returning to the list. This was a welcome addition indeed, and somehow felt familiar. With coffers slowly filling with the trickle of coin, Bob was keen to put his newfound wealth to work. Left-clicking on the woodcutter's hut presented 4 icons, the first of which would open the building dialogue, allowing Bob to delve deeper into the inner workings of the building. Okay, so now you're going to look at a real part of the game, which is to do with buildings and adjusting their settings, and this is where it gets deep and dirty, and I absolutely love it because there's a ton of stuff in there. So notice, first of all, as soon as I clicked that building, the woodcutters, all of the resources it was going to be collecting had this little icon of planks above them. So at a glance, it's showing you the distance that it's going to cover for getting wood, and you can see that's a mighty good distance, but we can increase that distance, so watch on. Okay, so we're going to click here, open building dialogue. Let's zoom in a bit just so we can hear them. The workers tab was split into two panels. On the left, current vacancies. The current vacancies. If Bob had been a good pupil, 2 of the vacancies would now be filled with woodcutters, with 2 further vacancies available to be filled. So as you can see over here, the last episode we got the 2 guys cutting the wood, but we've not filled it up with any more. Good reason for that. Let's continue on. Workers could be selected by left-clicking their portrait and either demoted or found by clicking the buttons below. Basically, demoted, what that means, if you select one and you a real man has a beard. Now, if you select someone and demote them, that basically is then going to move them back to the list of available peasants. Peasants, that's what they are. Okay, and so that will... and he will be removed then from the workers. Vice versa, if you click the little plus next to someone, that will add them to the building. You can have a maximum of 4 for now until we upgrade. Okay, let's continue. To the right were Bob's available peasants. Clicking the plus sign would instruct the peasant to head to the building for training. Having discovered yet another way to train peasants, Bob's mind was blown. Following a short trip to the local hospital to have the pieces of brain reassembled, Bob returned to spot an option for enabling auto recruit. Checking it would cause all available vacancies to be filled as soon as peasants become available. Be very careful about this auto recruit. It's going to be something that you have to use in the future, no doubt about that, as your village expands. Okay, you are going to fast grow out of the stage of where you can manually just add people to it. You have to manually do it at the beginning of the game because you're not going to have many villagers for other buildings, and if you do auto recruit, it will automatically fill the building up with workers, thereby leaving you with very few, if sometimes no, available peasants. That way, when you have to build something else like a fishing hut, you won't have no one that can work there. But food is very important, so hence why to start with we'll do it manually. Bob awoke to find himself back in hospital. Oh, that's a good place to be. After a good rest, it was time to click the next tab. Click the production tab. Okay, which is this one. Look at all these tabs. Check it out. This is cool. Okay. The production tab looked awfully daunting, but in reality this was old and would soon be replaced. The only parts that mattered were the check boxes for enabling building outputs. For the woodcutter, this meant focusing production effort into producing logs, firewood, or both. Okay, so what it's saying over here, these 2 here are check boxes which you can finely tune as your village grows. To start with, you'll just leave it defaulted, but eventually you're going to need more firewood. That means you'll need to build another woodcutter's hut, and in that second woodcutter's hut you'll turn off plank production because you'll have plenty of planks. The thing that you'll be short of is your firewood, which is that one, sorry. So the planks we have plenty of, but the firewood in your second one is the one that you'll turn off the plank production and continue with firewood in your second. Anyway, it's time to research. Okay, so if we click on the research tab, this was more like it, thought Bob, after clicking to the research tab. Spending gold on research could improve buildings, make workers more efficient, and unlock crafting recipes. It all looked worryingly expensive. Luck was with Bob. At that very moment, a rich benefactor stepped forward and donated enough gold to be able to begin researching sawmilling. Fortuitous timing indeed. it certainly was. I wish I'd have that in real life. Anyway, research would only progress with one or more workers assigned to the building. More workers would complete the research tasks in less time. So bear that in mind when you're researching, that the amount of people you have in here will dictate the speed of the research. Okay, so learn about research sawmilling. So that's what we've got to do. This one here, you'll see you require 500 gold and and yes, just click it here. So sawmilling. Okay, so now we've just got to wait for this to fill up. As you can see, the timer going over here. What this will give us is increased production of planks by 5. Planks is not anything you're going to be short of, that's for sure. They churn out loads of planks. See, some people, they just stand idle. Can't blame them really, can you? You know, they can get away with it, why not? Good luck to them. Trouble is, Bob don't sound like a too decent person. He'll have them working. Yeah. Okay, we're nearly done with this research. You will see it appears up here as soon as you've researched it. And now hovering over it in the future, if you ever forget what these do, if you hover over it, it tells you exactly what it does. When research completed, it was removed from the list and moved to the top right tab. Hovering the mouse over the pointer over the small icons would provide details of what research had been completed. Research completed in one hut would benefit any current or future woodcutters' huts and workers. Comfortable with how it all worked, Bob proceeded to the upgrades tab. So any future woodcutters' buildings I build will have all the research I've done previously. Okay. So, upgrading. Although it was far too early to upgrade the woodcutter's hut, it was important for Bob to know that it was possible. Upgrading buildings would support more workers, unlock further research and reduce the risk of fire. Fortunately, fire's not something I've come across yet, and hopefully I won't, because it don't sound good. Upgrades would become available when the culture score passed the stated level and Bob had the required resources available. So these two what look like dice are actually little pictures of faces of your people. It's your culture level, which is up here. Currently I've got 48 culture. So Bob clicked on the crafting tab. Okay, we will look at that next. Buildings such as the blacksmith had far more crafting options. The woodcutter's hut had just one. The conversion of planks into firewood. This didn't seem particularly useful when all was well in the village. Bob was a wise leader though, possessing the foresight that if firewood stocks were to run out, being able to chop up planks would provide welcome relief against the cold, and most certainly help prevent a catastrophe. Rebelling peasants with burning torches, a compulsion towards arson, and the availability of thatch roofs sprang to mind. So, yes, bear that in mind, that if you run out of firewood, you can come into your woodcutter's hut, go to crafting, and chop up some planks. Shaking the image out of his head, Bob clicked on the equipment tab. Okay, so here we are at the equipment tab. Equipment stores helped ease the management burden from Bob's broad shoulders. Rather than equipping each worker individually, Bob could open the master inventory panel and simply drag gear into the equipment store tab. Workers would automatically equip the best gear available. You can make better equipment for them using the blacksmiths. When you make it, it goes into your storage, so you open the village inventory and then you simply drag and drop the items that you want to equip them with that you've made in your blacksmiths into here. So there we go. There was nothing Bob hated more than choresome micromanagement. He was mildly pleased that someone hidden away in the back room sat huddled over a box pushing buttons had thought this through. By now Bob was growing impatient. Oops, there's the timer. Yearning to return to the construction and adventure. It was time to leave the bean counting behind. It was all going rather well, but villagers would only put up with eating berries for so long. A little variety wouldn't go amiss and would improve villagers' happiness. It was high time Bob imparted some of his divine wisdom by providing the good folk with knowledge of farming, starting with a windmill. So there we have it, my dear intrepid viewers. We will take these idle peasants and we will give them a reason for being. As in, we will make a windmill. And we will do that in the next episode. Wherever you are in the world, God bless you and keep every last one of you safe. Thank you for watching. And what a nice ending. And have a fantastic day. Goodbye.